On this week's show, what is the best areas to invest in property?
In the news, we're going to be discussing the potential of lifting lockdown.
And we're going to be answering all your property-related questions.
Welcome to the Property Investors Podcast. We are here every Friday at 12 p.m. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an upload. You can catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify and YouTube. Enjoy this week's show and don't forget to share with all of your friends.
Hi, I'm Russell Leeds.
I am Alasdair Cunningham.
And welcome to the Property Investors Podcast. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm very good, very good. Again, weeks and weeks and weeks. I've not had your humour. What's going on? Hopefully it's going to be finished soon.
It is. Oh, well, we're going to talk about that later on in the show, but I think it is. I think it is for sure. Now, we both, tell me what we've been doing, because we managed to find a mobile recording studio who comes around with a mask and he makes sure he goes in the room, he sets it all up, and he comes out, then we go in, we recorded our book, and he was sort of sitting across the other side of the room on his laptop editing away. But tell me what you've just done.
Okay, so I have been recording my book. Finally, I've got it into audio format. So I'm going to be uploading that to Audible in the next couple of days. I should be getting the edited version back from the recorder very, very soon. So what about you, Ross?
And who did you get, obviously, because most people can't understand your Scottish accent. So who did you get to be the voice?
I done it myself because
Really?
I didn't want anyone else doing it. I get a lot of messages, I get so many messages from people saying that when they're reading it, they're actually hearing me speak it because they hear me on stage and they can hear my accent and my voice and my mannerisms and things like that. So there was no way I was going to let somebody else read that book.
No way anyone's going to read my book.
No, so you know what I mean. There's no way anyone else do the audio version of it.
There is no way I would let anybody read my book.
Especially because I've just edited it. I've just edited it as well, and I've added a decent amount to it as well. So it's far more up to date to where I'm at today as well. So
I put a picture of me. Here's a picture on Instagram. That way, there you go.
Yeah.
That's our little recording booth that we got.
Yeah.
And someone said, I'm looking forward to it. Although it wasn't too difficult to imagine your voice while reading the book. The only thing that was missing was you picking on Alasdair.
Yeah, that's normal, isn't it? I can't admit it, to be honest. So
I'm thinking I'm going to have to rewrite the book. Maybe we should do a book together where I can take the book out of you throughout the book.
Yeah, well, just normal, isn't it? So
just every day.
It's normal, isn't it? That's what happens, isn't it? You just it's part of my everyday life. And to be honest, it's like, like people are in lockdown, people are missing going out, going to their friends, going to the pubs, going to
You're missing me taking the piss out of you.
Your dry humour. That's what I'm missing.
Well, although you still get your weekly dose on here.
Yeah, in fairness, we do speak quite often in Zoom, which is yeah.
Yeah, we probably speak 3 times a week.
Yeah, at least, yeah.
Yeah. So
we'll see. It's good. It's all good.
I obviously the same thing. So yeah, we both have managed to hire this guy.
Yeah,
recorded our stuff. We were literally. I did mine one day. You did yours the next. We're doing well.
Yeah. Do you know what's amazing is this whole lockdown situation? I've managed to get so much done. Like I know you have as well. We've got so much done.
Well, how long have you been talking about recording your book?
Since the day I launched it, and I've just never got round to actually having a day where I could go to a recording studio and get it done. So I've managed to do it in this situation, this lockdown situation. I've also started my own YouTube channel, which is now it's actually up and running and it's naturally growing. And we're doing 2 videos every single week, one on Tuesday, one on Thursday, one on Tuesday, one on Fridays. They come out twice a week. So yeah, jump on YouTube. Just Google YouTube my name, Alasdair Cunningham, and it'll come up. 2 videos a week, and I've done my YouTube. I'm also doing lots of recordings, lots of videoing for training for Academy members. And
you were telling me that you pinched some of my book for your YouTube video.
I did. The video, I've literally just filmed a video. It won't be coming out for about 3 weeks because I'm actually about 3 or 4 weeks in front of my YouTube content. So I've got a bank of videos waiting to just be scheduled to come out because I want to get as far forward as possible because I know that when lockdown lifts and we go back to events and back to running our businesses and day-to-day life, I'm just not going to get the time I need to do lots of videos. So I'm going to try and do as many as possible now. And the video I've just done 10 minutes ago was focused heavily on, just you stay there.
Oh, I'm just going to stay here while he runs off and grabs a piece of paper, which I'm sure he's going to show you. I got my book.
It was focused heavily on that. The Blueprint, the Entrepreneur's Blueprint by yourself. Available on Amazon. I even bought this off Amazon. Do you know, you wouldn't even give me a free copy.
I haven't got any. I haven't got any copies. I've literally, the only copy I've got, I had to buy off Amazon.
Yeah, I know you did. So I bought this on Amazon. Buy it. Honestly, amazing book. And watch out for my YouTube video. It's coming out soon. I talk about some of the stuff that Russell taught me from that book. In particular, the winner's sales system. Amazing. You need to buy the book and watch the YouTube, and I will talk to you about it. Great,
awesome,
great
awesome, man. Right, so the topic that we're talking about this week is what are the areas, what's the best area basically to invest in property? Now, I know this dramatically changes depending on the strategy. So like if you're looking for HMOs, it might be very different to if you're looking for buy, refurbish, finance or service accommodation, etc. So I thought this week we would just focus on buy-to-lets. So if you're buying a buy-to-let property, where is the best place? Not necessarily even we're not going to sit here and we're not going to just go Reading, Manchester. You know, that's not, we're going to be showing you what to do to find an area. You could even, and this would be a first for the Property Investors Podcast, you can even share your screen to show what you're doing at times, potentially.
Do you want me to?
I think that might be a good idea.
Oh, okay. Right.
Okay, but not just yet, but when do you know how to do it?
Is it in your book? Should we check and see if it's in your book?
What, how to share your screen?
Of course I'm out to share my screen. Now, this is not my first time on Zoom. Dude, of course I'm out to share my screen.
This is the second time on Zoom.
I do Zoom calls every day. Like, trust me, I run the academy calls, I run all this sort of stuff, and we do lots of screen share.
I think it might be a good idea, just to back up what we're saying. Okay, so we're going to be teaching you how to work out. So first of all, you're buying a residential property. What would you say was the first thing that you're looking for in order to know whether it's going to be a good area to invest?
Okay, forget even that at the minute. You need to go back to basics. So if you as an investor are looking to invest money into a property, into any area, the first thing you need to understand is what your budget is. Forget about areas at the minute. What's your budget? Understand, keeping you awake?
You are, man.
Understand what is your budget? How much can you afford to spend? So go and see a mortgage broker. Find out how much you can actually borrow. Because if you can only borrow £100,000, then that limits where your area is going to be. Whereas if you can only borrow £50,000, that also limits where your area is going to be. So it's all very subjective to how much you can borrow. Now,
and how much you've got for deposit.
And how much you've got for a deposit, yeah. So typically you're going to have to put at least 20% in as a deposit. More likely 25%. So if you're buying a £100,000 home, you're going to have to put 20 to £25,000 in.
So if you've got 25 grand in the bank, realistically, 100 grand is your kind of top end of what you're going to be able to afford to buy.
Because you're going to have legal costs, you're going to have any sort of refurbishment work as well. So you're looking between 80 and £100,000. Now, obviously, that then determines where your area is going to be, because you're not going to find a property for 80 to £100,000 anywhere south of Birmingham. You're just not. There's not, unless it's half knocked down, but not something that you could easily move into. Now, what I love about single buy-to-lets is it is by far the safest property strategy. Like, by far, safest property strategy. You would have it on a single AST contract, so you're only dealing with one tenant or one family. Therefore, the management side of it is very much easier than, say, a HMO. You've got a single. You can easily manage it yourself. You don't have to get a management company to do it for you. However, we know that we always use a management company, but I know many people that don't use management companies. But that also determines your area. So if you want to self-manage, the property has to be somewhere near where you live. Now, we don't recommend self-managing because then that's just a job. We're trying to create passive income. Passive income means you do the work once, sit back and collect the money. So,
I know what you're saying, by the way, about looking at your prices. But see, for me, when I'm buying a buy-to-let property, I always buy cheaper properties anyway, because, you know, we talk about this for why we don't own where we actually personally live. The reason I don't the reason that this house that I'm in right now I don't own is because it would be a terrible investment.
Yeah.
I'd need to spend a lot of money. So typically, I have done, and I don't know. I mean, you might say otherwise, but if you're just buying a single buy to let, I'd only be looking to spend 80 to 100 grand anyway.
Yeah, I agree with you. But there's many people that will buy a single buy to let in London and in the south for £300,000. Personally, I was getting it before you like rudely interrupt. Personally,
Sorry, I thought it was a two-person show where we talk, where we both talk. Sorry,
personally, no, I'm joking. Personally, I agree with you. I would rather have 3 properties. So let's say you've got 100 grand to invest. I would rather buy 3 properties for £100,000 each, putting £25,000 deposit and having 5,000 as contingency. So I would rather have 3 properties at £100,000 each, as opposed to 1 property at £300,000. The reason being is because then you've got 3 rental incomes, you've got 3 capital appreciations. But on the downside to that, you've got 3 expenses, you've got 3 managements to worry about, you've got 3 tenants that might not pay the rent. So there's risk and reward to everything. You just have to balance it out. But
you say you got 3 managers you've got to pay, but you normally pay a percentage, so that actually doesn't matter. And you said you got 3 people that might not pay you, but surely you'd rather have 3 people so that if one of them doesn't pay, you've still got 2 rents coming in, than putting all your eggs in one basket anyway.
I'm talking about the potential risks, but also my much preferred method is more properties, because not all your tenants, if let's say you get 1 rogue tenant, the majority of tenants are good. Like, we only ever hear about the bad tenants. Like, if you look on social media, you never see people praising how great the tenants are. Like, all they ever hear them doing is bitching and moaning because the tenants didn't do anything, or didn't pay, or they trashed this, because bad news sells. But like, you've not gone on and said, oh, my tenants are amazing. And I've not done it. But we've talked about how my tenants haven't paid my rent. And do you know what I mean? So bad news sells. So once you've understood how much you can afford, and you can actually...
By the way, my tenants are amazing.
Yeah, my tenants are. I have actually talked about how good they are, some of them sometimes. But at the minute, I've got a couple of tenants not paying me. So it's what it is. Anyway, move on. So once you understand how much you can afford and you can actually invest, then that determines where your area is. A big deciding factor is if you're going to manage or self-manage. If you're going to manage property yourself or get a management company. I recommend getting a management company, because otherwise you're just creating a job. So if you get a management company, the property can be anywhere, as long as you've done your due diligence on that area. So let's just say you've got £100,000 to invest. Where would I start looking? I would start looking, my preferred areas are the northwest as opposed to the northeast. I prefer the northwest for some reason. Like Stoke-on-Trent, Crewe, that neck of the woods, up towards Manchester.
What about like Walsall, Birmingham?
If you can find a property in Walsall for £100,000, then yeah. If it comes within your budget. But I would say that side, like Midlands and the Northwest, that's where I tend to want to buy. Because really good capital appreciation areas, as opposed to the Northeast. The Northeast is a little bit less capital appreciation. Like, there's parts of the Northeast that are just, they're lower than they were 2008. But Northwest is not that bad.
Like, because you obviously know Hull really well. That's Northeast, isn't it?
It's getting up towards, it's not quite northeast, but it is quite,
well,
it's up that way, yeah.
It's like right on the east coast, isn't it?
On the east coast, but it's not really, it's like you've still got way to go before you get to the proper like Newcastle neck of the woods. You've still got 2 years.
Surely Hull is just northeast. I mean, like, look at the map.
Humberside. Hull's Humberside. It's technically like North Yorkshire.
I'm not. Okay.
Oh, fine. Yeah, maybe northeast. But yeah, I've got properties in Hull, and they're the people that aren't paying me. My properties in the Midlands, I'm getting no problem. I've got no problem. I've just had my statement come through for one HMO, and it was like 1,500 quid. Another one's 1,200 quid. But the one I've not had my statements from my properties in Hull at the minute, because I've already had a message from landlord saying there's a problem with the rent. Of course there is.
I like the Midlands personally because I know it inside out, back to front, born, raised. I've moved all around the Midlands. I mean, it's only now that we've moved down near London, but my whole lot, I just know the Midlands so well. So I don't really... Go on.
When you're looking for areas, you want to look somewhere that you actually know, or you're prepared to go and spend some time in that area, a couple of days, whatever, to understand where in that area works, where it doesn't work, the streets to avoid, the streets that are just drug dens. They're the areas to avoid. But you're not going to know that by looking on Rightmove. You're going to know that by actually getting your feet on the ground and spending time in that area, speaking to agents, going into letting agents and estate agents and having conversations with them and getting to know that area like the back of your hand. And speak to the agents, ask them lots of questions such as like, how many rooms do they manage? How many properties do they manage in that area? What's the delinquency rates? How many tenants are not paying them? How many tenants are in arrears? How many rooms or properties do they manage? What type of tenants are you going to get? What type of properties sell the best? What type of rooms sell the best? Are they en-suite, non-en-suites? So
do you know the areas that you have? So like around Birmingham, there's certain areas that are just like, oof, but you can get a very good deal on there. Would you, obviously, if you were working out ROI and stuff, you might look at that and you might go, that's actually a better deal. But you also know that you're going to attract a certain type of person when you're renting houses, say Lasdairs, which is in Birmingham, where and you just know it's a really rough area. Would you buy, or would you spend a little bit more on buying a slightly nicer area?
Yes, 100%.
You would.
I'll tell you why. John Raybould, academy member, 21, 22 years old, got 6 HMOs, done really, really well at the academy. Everything he learned come from the academy. He's bought 6 properties with him and his business partner. And they've got 5 properties that are doing really well. They're in Gainsborough and Lincoln. They're doing really well. But they've got 1 property in Scunthorpe, right? Now, they bought that because it was a good deal on paper. Like, everything stacked up. Like, they were like, wow, this is like really good, like 35, 40% ROI. Like, really good on paper. But by his own admission, they bought this because on paper it looked really good and they wanted to try a different area. So it was their first property in Scunthorpe and they wanted to try a different area. Everything works. On paper it works. Good rental demand, good rental income. However, the tenants that it attracts are scumbags. They're all jobless, they're all scumbags. He can get tenants for it. They fill up very quickly. But they're all druggies, they're all like his house. This is true. I was speaking to John on WhatsApp the other night. The house has been broken into 6 times since Christmas. Seriously, wow. It's been raided by the police twice. It's had somebody, there was a drug dealer moved in there, and a rival drug dealer from another part of the town broke into the house, beat him up and beat his girlfriend up with a crowbar, and then the ambulance and the police got called. So on paper, the property works amazingly. But in reality, they're now having to refurb the property. They've now just kicked every single tenant out. Before the tenants left, they trashed the place. Like so much so that they found bricks inside the building. Like they were using bricks to throw against the walls.
One of the slight dangers of HMOs in general, I mean, I've managed, I don't know, over 100 probably HMOs. One of the dangers is that I find this particularly to be the case with that. If you put a HMO in a dodgy area, you would attract the dodgiest of the dodgiest people.
You do. So what he's doing now is they've kicked, all the tenants have left. 2 of them got arrested and they're now in prison, so that's why they've left. But they've all gone.
I would much rather have a slightly nicer area, and when we managed our HMOs, we never tried to compete on price.
No, I agree with that.
When you compete on price, when you're trying to be the cheapest, you get the cheapest people.
You get cheap.
And then, someone has been reading my book.
I've been reading your book, yeah. Same with
you want the value for money, people, is what you want.
Yeah. Same with people that, like, when you say no deposits, I never do a no deposit rental, no deposit move in, because if they're not committed financially, no, they have to have a deposit or a guarantee.
If they can't afford the 350 quid or whatever it is,
then they ain't moving in.
Yeah.
Rather the room sits empty. And do you know what they're doing now? Is
the one thing worse than no tenant
is a bad tenant.
Yeah.
They've kicked all the tenants out and they're now refurbishing the property to a better standard, and are not taking these type of tenants again. They only want working professionals, and they're all going to be paying deposits, because he has since bought another property in Scunthorpe which works very well, and it's in a very similar area, but he just went for the wrong clientele.
What I've tended to do is I've got properties in Cannock, for example, but I've gone for Hensford, and Hensford is a nice part of Cannock. So it's still it doesn't have to be like, I'm not saying Hensford is like amazing, but and it's a cheap property in Hensford. One of them is anyway. It's very cheap property in Hensford. Because it's in Hensford, it attracts a higher because they want to live in Hensford. Okay. Do you know what I mean? And it's a slightly nicer area than.
Sort of going off topic. We're now talking about HMOs, so let's go back to.
What I'm talking about now is not HMO. It's just normal single let.
That's single let. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I do sort of I completely agree with you. I would, back to your original question, would I rather pay a little bit more money and go to a nicer area? 100%, because people want to live in nicer areas, and they'll pay a little bit more rental income for that. We've seen that. It doesn't matter where they are in the country, they will still pay a little bit more money. And it's much like what your book talks about you go for the people that want value, not the cheapskates. If you go to a cheap area, you'll attract people that are looking for cheap rooms and cheap properties, and then they generally come with problems.
So would you say then the sweet spot is a property that's around about the 80 grand mark, that's in a cheap-ish area, i.e. the Midlands or somewhere, but in one of the slightly nicer areas within that cheap area? Would you say that was like, that's the ideal? Because you can go somewhere like Hull, you can get a property for like 40 grand.
Yeah.
But they sometimes can be the ones that
they sometimes can be the ones that cause you problems. Yeah, absolutely. But in fairness, to balance that out a little bit, I know an investor that bought a house in Hull. We found it for him. It was £41,000. He spent £12,000 on refurb. That rents out as a HMO, gets £1,200 a month. He's had nothing but he's had no problems in that property apart from maintenance issues, but he's had no tenant issues. So it's not always the case that just because it's in a bad area we'll get bad tenants. It all comes back to vetting your tenant properly. And this is why I think if you use a good management company, you do credit checks, you take deposits, you make sure you check with previous landlords. Do all these things and you'll generally be a lot better off than just saying, cheap house, get some people in there. It doesn't work like that.
It's partly the house as well, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
As well as the area. If you've got a nice house that's furnished nice that you put up for a reasonable fee, even in a bad area, the worst is when you've got a horrible house in a horrible area.
Just attracts bad people. But personally, when I'm looking for areas for single lets, I'm checking things like what are the job demands, what is the median income what is the general income in the property in the area, what are the prospects, what's going on in the area, is a development happening, is big companies moving to the area, or is it an area that's on the downward spiral? I mean, there's areas of the country there's just no opportunities. There's not a lot happening. There's just not a lot. There's not a lot.
They're spending a lot of money. Like Birmingham has got a lot of money pumping into it right now. So you'd be thinking, okay, Birmingham, surrounding areas around there, good. Crewe, similar. Crewe. What have you heard anything about HS2? I mean, no one's talking about it right now.
I haven't heard much about it recently. I assume it will still be going on.
There's always talk, isn't there, of it stopping or the budget. No, I think it will.
What they're going to do? They've already put all the infrastructure in. So what they're going to do? Just abandon it all? It ain't going to happen, mate.
It happens in countries like Spain, doesn't it, where they've started to build estates and then just gone, nah.
Yeah, but they've not spent billions doing it. They might have spent millions, but not billions.
Yeah.
I think there'd be an outcry if they stopped. Apart from the tree huggers, they'd love it, but I think everyone else would not be bothered. But look, areas. Make sure you've got good average income. Make sure you've got good demand. Make sure you've got the supply is good and that you're not going to be attracting tour tenants. Make sure that you check that there's prospects in the area. I'm trying to think of areas at the minute where there's just not a lot going on, like Blackpool. Blackpool's, it's all right, but there's not.
I've heard that Blackpool is getting a lot of development and stuff, and they reckon the house prices will go up a lot over the next 5-10 years.
I mean, there's areas that have just like not recovered from the 2008 recession. There's just no prospects. There's nothing going on there. There's no development coming to that area. So like you wouldn't invest there. Do you know what I mean? Particularly in the northeast, like Tyne and Wear, top end of Newcastle. There's just not a lot going on there. Like
you're not a big fan of the northeast, are you?
No, I think I think there's good parts of it, but there's also bad parts of it. I mean, I know a landlord.
You know why it's so bad? Do you know why it's so bad? Because do you know how like the Midlands is just England surrounded by England? It's all like, you've just got England surrounded by it. Northeast, you're getting up towards Scottish territory.
Okay. There it is. Right, no, yeah, I mean, I know a landlord who's got 16 or 18, I can't remember, 16 or 18 properties in Gateshead, Tyne and Wear, and they're nothing but problems for him. Like, he wants to offload them all on lease options because he just wants rid of them all. And
but that's where you can cook, because it might be that they're horrible houses. That way, where you might be able to take it over, do the house out nice. You might be able to so there are, for lease options and stuff, different story, but we're talking right now for single lets.
Yeah, okay, so single lets. Make sure there's good income, make sure there's good jobs, make sure there's good perspectives. Make sure there's good income, make sure there's good jobs, make sure there's good prospects, make sure there's development, make sure there's things coming to the area. Check the council. Make sure that, have a look at the council local plan. That will tell you what they're planning to build in the next 15 years. And it will just get a good understanding of what actually is happening in that area. And then you can make an educated decision as to whether that area is a good area to invest in for both cash flow for the rental income and capital appreciation. So to say, like, the best area in the country is this place is wrong, because it's very dependent on you and what you want to invest and how much you've got to invest. Because there's areas in every area of the country which work well. So, like, I'm not a biggest fan of the Northeast, but in the Northeast, there's still areas that work incredibly well. But there's more that I see problems in. Whereas same in the Northwest, there's areas that work very, very well. But again, there has the problems in the Northwest. So every area has its problems and every area has its good areas. It's up to you as the investor, the person with the money, the person putting their hard-earned money into it, to make sure that wherever you look, you're doing your due diligence and you're looking for things such as what I've just said: jobs, income, people, the percentage of people that actually are unemployed as opposed to unemployed. There's so many things you need to be checking.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you're looking for so to sort of sum up where we've got to so far. So you're sort of looking for areas where you can buy a house for around about the 80 to 100 grand, rent it out for around about the £600.
550, 650, or whatever, as much as you can get. But I wouldn't do
obviously
as
much as you can get. But realistically, that's the kind of sweet spot for a rental property. Good areas that we would sort of suggest is sort of Midlands area, Northwest, Manchester, Liverpool, surrounding areas around there. Try and go for somewhere that's cheap. Obviously, you don't want to be spending massive prices, but don't go for. Try and pick a nice area inside a cheap area.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Makes sense.
It makes sense. Good. And then find a property that's in good condition, because if you're just doing a buy to let, obviously any money that you put into it is dead money in a way, because if you buy a house that's already nice, the mortgage pays for the vast majority of it, right?
Yeah.
So it makes sense to get one in a house that's in good condition, maybe liquor paint and some carpets or something, but you're not having to spend a lot of work on, unless you go for another strategy like the buy, refurbish, and finance, etc.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about that in the next couple of weeks. Whatever.
So yeah, I think that to be honest, that kind of gives a good overview of how to find an area. It's good if you know the areas. If you don't know them now, do your research and then go and research an area and look online what development's coming. A lot of this you can find out online and by speaking to letting agents and landlords. But now is a really good time to buy. I wasn't planning on buying anything right now, but now I'm sort of thinking I really need to find something because the house prices are going down. I'll be kicking myself if I don't buy anything over these next couple of months.
Yeah, I agree with you. I completely agree with you. I can't add much more to that. Single let strategy is by far the safest form of investing in property. And I think all beginners, all new investors, that's potentially where they should look at as their first step.
To begin with, yeah. Well, it's even hard to get approval for HMOs and stuff unless you've got a bit of landlord experience. So if you haven't bought yet, it's definitely a good place to start, especially if you haven't, if you've had specific training in buy, refurbishing, finance, then it might be okay. I feel like I do know what I'm doing. But if you're new and you just watched YouTube videos and stuff, probably I would say stick to something pretty safe. Right, it's now time for this. So in the news this week, we're going to be talking about obviously COVID-19. I think it's the only thing that is in the news. Samuel actually did a really interesting video about COVID-19, which he put on YouTube yesterday, last night, there was an interview with people like Grant Cardone, but also getting thoughts from Robert Kiyosaki and Jordan Belfort and all these people talking about how much of this is real, basically. It was a very, very interesting listen. I'd recommend maybe we put a link to that on here because I thought it was really interesting. But anyway, sorry?
Controversial.
It was controversial. Yeah, it was
controversial.
It's funny because all the big names in investing and making money all don't buy it. And we said, didn't we, early on? I mean, listen, we're not doctors. We don't. One of the reasons we haven't talked about it is because we don't really know. We don't really know. But looking at it as an outsider, as an uneducated person, which we are, it just doesn't quite add up. Yeah, but it's a very interesting video. Very interesting to get all their thoughts on that. So what we're going to be talking about this week, though, is obviously COVID-19, how it is going to affect property. Because the thing is, whether it's real or not, it kind of is real. Because perception is reality, and everyone's perception is that so everyone's acting like that. So
like that, perception is reality. I do like that. So irrespective if COVID-19 actually exists or if it was man-made or whatever, it doesn't matter. The fact is we have to deal with the consequences of it.
Yeah.
So obviously in the news at the minute, everyone's waiting. So we are filming this we're on the 8th of May. So this show comes out tonight. So we're waiting for the 11th of May, which is on Monday, so Sunday or Monday, 12th of May, Monday. Old PM Boris is going to be making a statement with regards to how we're going to get out of lockdown, and he's potentially going to be lifting or easing the lockdown. I can't wait. I'm so excited. And I tell you, as soon as that's lifted, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. I'm going out looking at houses.
Probably be gradual, but like now, even more so. Now it's getting towards the end. It's like, let's just buy now, because if you don't buy now, it's going to go up again.
Do you know? It's crazy because, like, what's the ideal situation? He just says, "Okay, country's open again. Crack on." Right?
That won't happen.
It's not going to happen. It's going to be a staged, phased withdrawal.
You almost don't want that though. You almost want because stuff's you almost want to buy something from property before it goes back to normal. It's like if it goes back to normal, I'll be like, oh man.
I wonder how many people are sat at home thinking, like, we've had 7 weeks of being at home doing nothing, and like now we're on the verge of getting out of this, and they're all like thinking, oh crap, I'm running out of time to do what I wanted to do. Like,
yeah,
because I'm desperately trying to film content and videos for YouTube and various other things, and I'm trying to get myself as far advanced as possible.
So when it goes back to normal, you got no time.
To get busy. But I think we're going to have a staged sort of phased lift, going back to normal, and then eventually people will start going back to work. Shops will open, clubs will open, pubs will open, bars will open, whatever. Theatres, cinemas, all that sort of stuff. And then before you know it, we're going back to normal. And all these people that are like going on about how great everyone is and like how great the NHS are, they'll soon forget all of that, and they'll be back to whinging about the NHS, whinging about the government, whinging about everything, because it'll all be forgotten about. And that's the reality. Like last night, it was funny. Last night I was coming home, right? Last night I went shopping. I went to Tesco's and I was coming back from Tesco's, and it was about 8 p.m. And you know that's when all the clap for the NHS and all the people sounding their horns and stuff. And I was driving down the road, and there was a little guy on a moped waiting to turn right. And the guy behind him in a car went past him, and he started beeping his horn. as in clapping for the NHS. And the little guy in the motorbike was like, fuck you. And he was like, oh, he was like, he thought he was having a go at him. Might have to cut
I saw someone that went I saw someone on Instagram went for a run, and everyone came out clapping them, and they were like, yeah, thanks.
It's so funny. It's like, dude, just chill out. He's not beeping the horn at you. And this guy was furious. He was waving his hands about, giving him the finger and all sorts.
I might do that. I might go for a run at 8 o'clock, so I can run down and feel like I'm on a marathon or something. I feel like I'm getting supported.
Have you seen all? Obviously, people are the raves all TikTok at the minute, and there's people on TikTok like they're taking their wheelie bins out as people are doing it in their dressing gown, and they're like, oh, clapping because they're taking their bins out, and it's like, come on, man. It's funny, but anyway, look, we're going to be out of this soon. Hopefully, old Boris is going to lift these lockdown situation as soon as possible, have a phased lift, start getting back to normal, start getting back to life, and let's just crack on, my friend. Let's just do it.
Yeah, let's do it. I am kind of enjoying it though. I'm enjoying like having the time to work out. Look, did I tell you that I injured myself? I injured myself working out the other day.
Did you? No.
You'll love this story.
Go on.
You'll love this story.
Normally, you're injured like a paper cut or a staple or something. Like
have
that.
you seen the resistance? Do you know the resistance bands? So
Yeah.
the ones that are like a band, and you've got two handles either side. Not quite like
these
that.
have handles. They're not connected.
Okay. Yeah. One of them. Okay, cool. So the thing I'm doing is I'm standing on the band. Try and describe this. So I'm standing on the band. I'm holding the handles over up here so that it's really tight, and then I'm squatting. And the idea is that when you squat, when you go back up, obviously you've got all the resistance that just basically turns the squat in, makes it more difficult. Mm-hmm. And obviously I'm standing on the bands, right? So my foot is on the bands. And as I started getting tired, I cheated slightly, but didn't even realise. And I went on my tiptoes.
Okay.
So I'm holding this up high, I tiptoe. So what happens is the band that was on the floor, because I might have lifted my heels, comes shooting out and catches me really bad. I'm sure you can guess where with my hands here. Smack bang. I just like drop like a stone. So I've got this agony as only men can imagine. I mean, the closest a woman could probably get to it, I'm sure, is childbirth.
It's funny they say that, don't they? But I'll talk about that in a minute.
So dropped to, and then once the pain, because you know when you get hit in the balls, it causes a pain all through your stomach and evereverywhere, doesn't it? It's not
explain it, can you?
No, it's not just your balls that hurt. It's kind of everywhere. Your whole stomach. It's just. So once that pain started to die, I could then feel a sting, and I had a red line right along. It was agony. I'm never going to cheat on the squats again. From then on, my heels were like glued to the floor.
That's your punishment. That's funny, man. On that note, yeah.
And on that note, it's now time for this. So this is the question and answer section of the podcast, your questions and our answers. So the first one came in from Peter Cooling. He says, can I get a buy-to-let mortgage as my very first mortgage on a property? Yes, you can, Peter. I did as well. He's also said he sold his first deal in lockdown.
Oh, amazing. Well done,
Well done, Peter. Amazing job, my friend.
Definitely can get a mortgage as your first mortgage. However, you do need to speak to a decent mortgage broker. You're not going to be able to find this from high street lenders. So speak to a decent mortgage broker, tell them the property, tell them your situation, and take it from there. But yes, you will have to prove income and all that sort of stuff, but you definitely can do it. I know many people that have done it.
Alex Noble. Hi, guys. Thanks for the great content, as always. He's got two questions. Number one, what books are you reading at the moment?
I've got two books that I'm reading.
Our books. Right. We read them out loud yesterday. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, two books. Yeah, actually, this one and my one I read yesterday. But this I've just started, and I think it is awesome. Jab, jab, right hook. Gary V.
Okay.
Very good book.
Never heard of it.
Jab, jab, right hook. Gary V's book he wrote in 1999.
Wow.
I think it was 99. Anyway, it's a really good book. It's about social media, social presence, all that sort of stuff. Very, very good book. That's what I'm reading at the minute.
Wow, that's awesome. I'm reading Atomic Habits.
Okay.
And Content Rules. So there you go. That's the books that we're reading right now. And aside from property, what other investments are you guys looking at, if any?
Okay, so I've currently got some money in US oil. So I do a little bit of.
Has it gone up again?
It has. Let me have a look.
If you've made more than 700 quid off this, I'm going to be pissed.
No, so I'm still about 6. But yesterday we were chatting, and I was.
Dip.
It's dipped since yesterday. I'm now about 5. I'm now about £500 in profit. But it keeps going down. Like through the night, it went down to like £100, and it's come back up. So I'm just going to hold on to it because, like, I got in at a really good price, and oil prices are going to go up. There's no question, oil prices are going to go up. Think about it. Nobody's been driving, or very few people have been driving. There's buses are not running as much. Airplanes are grounded. HGVs are grounded. Trains are nowhere near as operational. Fuel in general is not being used. As a result, the supply of it is humongous amounts of supply. All the reserves are full. All the storage facilities in the UK are full because they're not supplying fuel stations, airliners, whatever. Hence, the property pump prices has gone down. But once we all start driving again, once all the buses start going again, the coaches going up and down the motorway, trains, reserves.
I haven't driven my car.
Well, you were telling me when we spoke yesterday.
I haven't topped it up. I had about half a tank 2 months ago, and I've still got. I've used it a tiny bit, but it's pretty much the same, which is good because I've gone way over on the miles. So it's like, yeah,
That's one thing I'm worrying about. You know, I'm getting high on the Porsche mileage.
I paid for 15,000 a year. I thought that'd be plenty. So I don't feel like I could do that much driving. And so last car, I was like, well, let's do 10. 10 should be enough. I did 15. I averaged, so I had to pay out at the end. So this car, I was like, I'm going to do 15 this time. I don't want to pay out at the end. So I did 15. We've had it. It's going to be 2 years in September, and we're on 36.
Okay, so you're already over.
So we're already over. So
5 months until September. Yeah, several months till September.
May, you got June, July, August, September, 4 months. But even if we did no miles now for 4 months, we'd be still over. So it's like, but I'm looking. I'm trying to trade it and get a Tesla.
Yes, I know.
I want to go electric. I've been totally won over by electric. I just think it's better for the environment. It's more economical. It's just better in every way.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And it's faster than your Porsche. By a mile.
Yeah, the problem is you have to
by a mile
in after 20 minutes.
I'm gonna kill you. We're gonna go for a drag race. I'm gonna sit down and go. You go first. Go on, off you go.
That's your.
Right, just have a stretch. Now let's kick his ass.
Okay, good. So I'm invested in oil. I've got some money in there. Not loads of money. I put a little bit of money in there a couple of days ago, and it's doing all right. So we wait and see what happens. But
good stuff. Well, guys, thanks ever so much for watching this week's show. Don't forget to subscribe below and comment and like and share with your friends and watch them again. Just keep watching them. So if you like, once you watch one show, don't stop there. Watch all of them. And if you finish all of them, you can go back to the beginning. When we did this, there's probably, I don't know how many hours of content you could probably have by listening to these, but do that. If you can get a billboard of us and stick it up, we'd appreciate that. That would be quite nice. I'd like our face on a billboard.
You could have us on your vision boards.
You could have us on your vision board. You could get gold statues of us. That would be cool. If anyone could get a gold statue. We haven't had any gifts for a while. I used to get quite a lot of gifts from people who've taken the piss out of me mostly, but still gifts. Haven't had any of those. So any gifts,
stay there.
Please send them to her.
Don't go anywhere. Stay there. So, at the last property investors crash course we done like months ago, whenever it was. Somebody came up to me. He watches the pod. He's a regular on the podcast, and he gave me this.
Okay.
It says okay, and it's got the worst
okay
picture of me on the cup. But yeah, so we always get gifts. So
he gave me one, but the one he gave me, it said pull your shoes up, because I accidentally one time. See, you always say okay. He couldn't find anything on me, so I can't find anything. But then he managed to go through and he found when I accidentally said pull your shoes up rather than pull your socks up, and now I've got it on a mug forever.
Oh, well, listen, on that note.
You know, I had that mug. Samuel saw that mug when I got it, and he saw me drinking out of it. He was like, how egotistical can you be to drink from your own mug? And I was like, oh, man, I'm getting told I'm egotistical by Samuel. And on that bombshell, it's now time to end. See you next week, guys.
See you guys.